everyone, Chris McCormick from Golf Magazine, head of club test and gear data, joined by Sam Kim, master fitter here at TrueSpec Golf Scottsdale. And Sammy, today we have an opportunity to test new Titleist T-Series irons. So T100, that player-friendly option that has been tried and true all over the tours around the world. T150, gonna be just a little more forgiving, still kind of in that player-oriented category. Then, new 200 series jumping up to 250, and then we get into that game improvement rocket ship in that T350. So after we test these T-Series, I'm gonna have you take a couple of swings with the new U505. So 505 is gonna be that kind of utility driving iron, but Titleist is making it in a 1 iron and then also blending it down into a couple more player-friendly heads that'll blend with some of these other T-Series irons. So before we make some swings, make sure, give us a like, subscribe to the channel, and you ready to hit some shots?
Let's do it, can't wait.
Perfect, let's go. All right, Sammy, first one we're gonna start with is that player-friendly, tour-loved version, T100. So first impressions of this guy, notice much of a difference between current model and now new generation?
I don't know that it looks too much different than the last one. Finish maybe a little different.
Sure.
But I think size and everything, size, shape, kind of stayed the same, which I don't think is a bad thing.
Exactly. I mean, ever since they launched this with the AP2, they haven't wanted to change the shape, the profile too much. And they've done quite a bit underneath the hood as far as just weight distribution and playability wise, but when it comes to how it addresses the ball, it's so good. Tour players love it, and not broke, don't fix it, right?
That's exactly right. That felt good.
Nice.
Felt really nice. Go.
So Titleist this year, they're really focusing on 3Ds, right? So the 3Ds when it comes to their fitting philosophy and what it is that they're focusing on, I should say, is distance, dispersion, descent. So when they're looking at distance, they're looking at a separation of 5 miles an hour between each club for playability. They're also looking for the clubs coming out of the same launch window. So dispersion, pretty self-explanatory. They're looking for more control, more consistency. And then descent, angle of descent is something that we talk about in a fitting environment with most players, because that's going to be control and stopping power coming into the greens. So when you're building that set of irons, whether it's one series or a blended set, you're looking for a consistent landing angle just to have some stopping power and control coming into the greens. Good ball there.
That felt really good.
So ball flight that you typically play out there, Sammy, what would you comfortably hit navigating around a golf course? What's kind of your go-to swing?
Yeah, I think pretty straight. I'd love to see that ball fall a little left to right. And then if you need to hit a draw, or if I need to hit a draw, then I can. But yeah, I'd say pretty straight. And if it just falls, I'd love to aim left of that flag and just see it fall a little to the right.
So I mean, that last shot there, club head speed, 88 miles an hour, faster than the majority of players out there, but we already know you got plenty of speed. Apex height there, 92 feet, landing angle. Again, that angle of descent, focal point for us, 45 degrees. That for me, 5,300 spin, pretty spot on. Launch angle there, 17.2, love it. Let's get one or two more just for this sample.
That would be the shot I'd be trying to hit on the course. Like, that was ideal, and that feels awesome.
That's the perfect shot to end on right there.
That felt great.
It's good. Let's see what that data looks like. Perfect, yeah. 100 feet of apex height, 46.7 on the descent angle. Spin 30 or 5,300, launch 17.6, and really, really solid shot there. So come on back, let's take a look at how new T100 compares to previous gen. All right, Sammy, good sample there. I mean, T100, not a lot changed other than that loft. And I mean, we can see it looking at the data here. Previous generation T100, a little higher, a little more spin. And I mean, transitioning into that new 2025 T100, launch came down, I mean, just a touch, but really good numbers there. What was, I mean, field feedback on your end? What are you seeing? Anything jumping out to you?
Yeah, I thought those T100s felt awesome. They look great. I also think, truthfully, not a ton different than the previous generation, but I also mean that in a good way, because I think when you make an iron that people love, let's not mess with it too much. Right. I think the new finish on it looks really good. I think the numbers, when we look at launch and spin, that's going to show a little bit of that 1 degree of loft being taken off, right? Mm-hmm. So launches a touch lower, spins a little bit lower. But other than that, really no nothing major has changed there, and I don't think that's a bad thing.
No, 1 degree stronger, like you said, but launch was within a degree. And really, really solid test there. Ball speed, very comparable. Carry number, we were a little further with that new T100, but to be expected.
Yeah.
Good sample there. So let's jump into T150 and see how it does.
Let's do it.
Next model here, which is new redesigned T150. So you're going to notice at address, this is much closer as far as that footprint goes to the T150. This year, they're really focusing on creating that symmetry with how these clubs look at address. Again, all about blendability. So how's that look to you?
Yeah, to my eye, this looks, maybe top line looks a little smaller than the previous generation T150. I think it looks really, really good.
Yeah, a little different sound there, but really good result. Though ball speed, no surprise, came up just a little bit compared to 100. Good ball there.
Yeah, that feels great. That feels really, really good.
Nice, really good ball there. Landing angle at 43, still in that playable window that we want to see. Launch definitely came down a touch, but to be expected compared to T100. That was a great shot. That sounded great.
That was the best one of the day so far.
Oh yeah, really nice there.
That was great, felt great.
Yeah, launch 17, spin right at 5,000 where we'd like to see it indoors. I like that. All right, bring it on back. So another good sample. T150, not a lot changed. There was some shaping, and looking at the data here, launch stayed virtually the same, and spin really, really close. Carry number really, really close. I mean, on your end as a player, what do you notice?
Yeah, I think the main thing in that T150 is I thought the top line looked a little bit smaller. Again, talks about that blending sets.
Yep.
Finish a little different, but again, felt very, very similar to the previous generation, which again, I think is a good thing. And again, so for that iron, loft didn't change. Cosmetically looks a little bit different, but other than that, I think numbers stayed about the same, and I think that's a good thing.
So with that, let's jump into T250, and this is new iron form this year, replacing T200. Let's give it a couple swings, see how it goes.
Let's do it.
So new T250 here, Sammy. They definitely changed shaping a little. So how's this look compared to 2023 T200?
Yeah, I'd say this is the most different looking coming from last generation to this. That's really good. That's a great look from the back.
Right?
It also looks maybe a little longer heel to toe, and that top line's maybe just slightly slimmer than last year's model or the current generation.
Sure.
That looks awesome. That looks really good. That felt great. It feels a lot like the T150, I'd say. Like, it doesn't feel too different, right? And I think when you're talking about combo sets, if you can go through a set of irons and have them all feel the same, even if it's not the same model, that's a win for sure.
How this looks at address, once you got into that T200 in the 2023 model, you started to notice a little bit more separation. So the footprint at address, it just looked like a different series of iron.
Yeah.
So to your point, how this sets up and frames the ball, much more player friendly. And again, just going down that road of you can combo this with something and not look like you're playing a different iron. Good ball there.
That felt great. Love the height on that.
Yeah, that thing took off. Good carry number there. Let's see what our apex height was. That's good. So almost 102 feet, close to 47 degrees on that descent angle, spin held at 5,000. So something really interesting here, even though our loft has gotten stronger, that redistribution of internal weight like we talked about and keeping that CG nice and low below the equator of the ball, launch there, 17.6. And as we kind of mentioned, we got 1 degree of separation in loft between the 100, the 150, and now in the 250. So 1 degree stronger than what we had in the 150, but the launch angle stayed almost identical. And this goes right back into maintaining those windows downrange that we wanted to see. How was that?
That was great. That might go in.
Tell you what, for a 27 degree lofted 6 iron, like, this thing is coming out at a really, really good window. 17 degrees. Spin came down a touch, but we're still getting that launch that we want to see. 94 feet, almost 45 degrees on the descent. Really solid there. T200 to T250, I would say biggest complaint in the T200 was sound and spin. So it spun well for the category that it's in, but T250, they kind of addressed those issues. They brought the launch up. We see a little bit more spin. Ball speed came up a little bit. And I mean, as far as the playability goes, this was pretty much improved across every category. So what'd you see on your end as a player?
Yeah, I think of the whole new line, I think the 250 looks the most different in a good way. It's very sleek. I think that top line, at least to my eye, looked like it was maybe a little slimmer than the previous generation, which I really think people are gonna love. And then again, you pair that with a little bit more launch, a little bit more spin, you have an iron that fits a very wide range of players, and I think that's gonna do really well for Titleist this year.
So now, we're going into T350, we got the rocket ship, right? All right, Sammy, last head that we're gonna test in the T-Series before we jump into the U505 is a 350. So this thing, absolute rocket ship, 26 degrees aloft on that 6-iron, and this is built for that player that is looking to maximize speed, but also still wants to get up in the air better than a lot of other irons in that same category.
I think that looks really nice. I think it kind of same as the 250. It's really sleek. Top line looks nice. Maybe slightly less offset than the T300 had.
Sure.
But overall, I think it looks really, really good.
So, I mean, looking at how these irons kind of blend, as we've talked about, 350 player probably going to look at potentially a 250, more than likely not going to have a 100 in the bag. I mean, the 350 may make an appearance in a long iron or something along those lines, but majority of players that are going to blend a 350 with anything, if they even need to blend it, is probably going to be closer to that 250 player.
Yeah. So
those two side by side, very, very similar footprint, very similar profile. Oh, curious to see how you hit this thing. And that's a little different sound.
Yeah, that felt really solid.
Maybe you're just a 350 player. Sam.
Yeah, I'll play a full set of these if it means hitting greens.
Came out a little lower on that one at 15 degrees, but hey, look at the descent, 43 degrees. And like we said, if we can keep you between 40 and 50, and I know club head speed, we've dialed it back a little bit, but 43 degrees, still very playable most places. That's a good ball there.
Yeah, that feels really nice.
So now you're checking the box on the dispersion category as well. So we're 2 for 2. That's good. 17 degrees again, close to 90 feet, 43 degrees on descent angle. Nice. Even better.
That's the best one I've hit today.
I say you're warming up to this guy, aren't you?
Yeah, that feels great. Definitely wants to turn over a little bit more. I think that's where a little bit of offset comes in, but
Sure.
Still holding its line really well.
Launch there, 18 degrees, apex height, 99 feet, descent, 45. This is checking all the boxes with stability. Going into this 350, man, really, really good numbers here. And like we saw, you could make a case for 350s going in your bag.
Yeah, I think you could argue that's probably the best iron I hit today.
Definitely.
I think it sounded great. It felt great. Top line looks good. To my eye, maybe a little less offset than previous gen.
Sure.
Which I think, again, people will love. But I think that iron does a really good job of getting that ball in the air while still spinning and having enough offset in it for that player that maybe misses a little to the right, that needs a little help in an iron. I think that T350 does an awesome job.
All in all, I mean, really, really good job today. And we've got one more to test, and that's a different category in this U505. This is going to be for that player that is looking for something maybe that is an alternative to a hybrid, or something that is going to be a potential long iron replacement. So let's jump in, take a couple more swings, see how it looks.
Yep, sounds great.
All right, Sammy, last club that we're going to test today is new U505. So this guy is a little different than what we've tested in the regular T-Series. U505 is actually going to be for that player that wants to play a long iron, but isn't necessarily striping it or hitting it as consistently as they potentially could with that T100 or T150. So this is going to be available in a 1-iron all the way down into kind of some of those long iron replacements. So this is a 3-iron that we're going to test. We're going to bump that green back a little bit, but see how it works for you.
Let's do it.
Oh, right out of the gate. How good did you hit that?
That was great.
Oh, let's go. 219 total. What was carry there? Pretty solid there. 209, 87 feet, 39 degrees, very first swing right out of the gate. Great sound.
Yeah, that feels great. It looks really nice too. I think when you can get into kind of that long iron, potentially a driving iron type club that doesn't have a ton of offset, I think that always looks good, right? Not a lot of offset here. It looks really nice.
And these have kind of a progressive offset. So the 1 iron is going to have the most offset, primarily used off the tee. Again, kind of that driving iron profile. Same story for the 2 iron. Then when you get into the 3 and the 4, that's going to be where they start to blend. So offset goes down, top line thins out a little bit, and just the overall profile of the club blends into the other T-Series irons, a little seamless. Love that sound. Sounds fast.
That was great.
Really stable too. That ball flight is not moving. Good number there.
That feels really good. I also would make a comment about like when you get into this style of club, you can always see a little of that cavity on the backside. You can see it here, but it doesn't look bad. I think the way they kind of rounded it off, it doesn't look aggressive at all.
Great swing. The height is really impressive here. Really, really impressive. Again, almost 110 feet, 45 degrees on the descent. Spin is right there at 3,300 RPMs. Launch, that has been consistent across the board, close to that 17 degrees. I mean that, with a 3 iron, 16 degrees of launch? Come on.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that.
U505, that was awesome.
Yeah, that was great.
So taking a lot of swings today, but you made that U505 look really good. And like we mentioned, a lot of opportunity here with U505, standalone driving iron, off the tee option, long iron replacement, hybrid alternative, a lot of things that U505 can do. And looking at this data, what do you notice?
The one thing that stands out to me the most is probably more spin, right? So you get into some of those driving type irons, they can potentially be very low launching, really low spin, which can be great for off the tee, but now Titleist is talking about giving us a club that can potentially just be an iron replacement.
Exactly.
And in order for it to do that, we need more launch, we need more spin, and that's exactly what it did. On top of, you add a little bit of ball speed, and now you have a great option for off the tee and a great option to replace potentially up to a 5 iron, but all the way down, I mean, they make it in a 1 iron, which is awesome.
When you are ready to test new Titleist T-Series or new U505, find the right set for you. Make sure, book your next fitting at your local True Spec, like and subscribe to the channel. We'll see you next time.